Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! I-U! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Media on this Thursday, and I could not be happier to have one of the most prominent drivers on the NASCAR circuit from right here, just down the road in Mitchell, Indiana. Chase Briscoe has taken the time to join us. Chase, thank you so much as always. You have always been so kind to me and always given us your time.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. Congrats also. I remember the last time I saw you a year ago, here at Bloomington, the Motor Speedway, you, I think your daughter was pregnant with twins?
Yeah, we had twins about 9 months ago. So, yeah, we went from a 3.5-year-old to all of a sudden having, one kid to 3. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The twins actually just started growing this past week, so life's been a little chaotic the past couple of days, but certainly, been a lot of fun.
I can imagine so. You're getting your own pit crew together there.
Yeah, we're halfway to the basketball team now. So,
Things,
close.
yeah, things are going really well. You had the opportunity to race for your hero, of course, Tony Stewart, and unfortunately, Stuart Haas went away. But when I heard you landed at Joe Gibbs to take Martin Truex's car, I'm like, he could not have landed in a better spot, because that is one of the most well-run organizations in NASCAR, competitive, and Martin Truex left that car ready to go, and you have taken over and just jump-started. First race of the year, the Daytona 500, and you're on the pole. Man, that's how you start a season off.
Yeah, it's definitely, when Stuart Haas shut down, it was a pretty scary, couple of days, just not knowing what was going to end up even happening, if I was going to have a job or not. Especially at that point, having twins on the way, definitely need to have a job. So yeah, I have a couple of days later, have Coach Gibbs call me and tell me that the 19 car was going to be available and that they would like to have me drive it. It was a dream come true. And truthfully, as bad as it was that Stuart Haas shut down, it was kind of the best thing that could have happened to just my career in general. Being able to get in to that 19 race car, it's one of the powerhouse organizations and powerhouse teams, and I think the results have kind of showed that over the course of the season. So yeah, to be able to go to the Daytona 500 first race of the year and sit on the pole there and have a good run, and then to already be able to get in victory lane, it's been a lot of fun. So hopefully can do it again this weekend. Well,
speaking of victory lane, that happened at Pocono, of course, a track that has some similarities to Indianapolis with the easy banking in the corners, low banking in the corners, and those long run straightaways. And I heard you say you're going to be bringing your Pocono car to Indy this week, so that's got to be a very positive vibe going into this race.
For sure. I mean, Pocono is the one track I would say that is somewhat at least similar to Indianapolis. There's really nothing that compares that to Indianapolis, but if you had to pick one track on the schedule, I would say Pocono is the only one you could maybe make some comparisons to. And for us to be able to have the speed we did at Pocono and obviously be able to win the race, the confidence that comes along with that is really, really nice. So hopefully, that we'll have the same result. Like you said, we are bringing the same race cars. So hopefully it can go back to back, and no better place to win than right here at Indianapolis. It would mean the world to me for sure.
Oh, I can only imagine how, have you taken the time to think about that, or is that something that you don't even want to do to think about winning at Indianapolis? That it was I think it was 20 years ago this year that Tony Stewart won there, but it's just the speedway, the history. I know that you growing up in this state, whether you drive IndyCar, it doesn't matter. It's just such a historic place, a great venue. getting the race there is awesome, but to win there, have you even thought about what that would really feel like?
Yeah, truthfully, I don't ever think about it, at any other racetrack, but Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I've definitely thought about what it would feel like to win the Brickyard 400. I mean, even last week I was just driving down the road and got goosebumps thinking about it. So I've been fortunate enough to win here one time, but it was during COVID and there was nobody here, so it's like you didn't really even get the full experience. So would absolutely love to win the Brickyard. If I could pick any race on the entire schedule to win, it would be the Brickyard 400. It's the one that's the most important to me. It's prestigious. It might not be the most prestigious in our sport, but for me, from a personal standpoint, I would put it above the Daytona 500. Just what it means to me personally. So would love nothing more than to win here this weekend and do it with my family here, and my friends, and a lot of fans that truthfully don't get to see me anywhere else. So. Yeah, a lot of pressure this weekend, but looking forward to seeing what we can do with it.
And it's a tough track. I mean, all of these tracks are so different and so difficult. As a matter of fact, if you don't follow Chase, which you should be, but anyway, he's finished second in the last 2 weeks at two completely different tracks. And unfortunately, at Sonoma, you had an incredible run, but it was like playing golf against Scotty Scheffler that day with Shane Van Gisbergen. He has just been a terror on those tracks, and you had an incredible run, but he was just a little bit faster that day. But yeah, again, like I said, that's like playing golf against Scotty Scheffler on a road course.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I heard that one. Yeah, it definitely felt like I shot 15 under, and then he shot 15 under. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. These last couple of weeks have been really, really good for our race team. I think out of the last 5 weeks, 3 of them we finished first or second. So we've been really, really good from a speed standpoint. Hopefully we can carry that on. We're kind of hitting our stride at the right part of the season. The playoffs start, I think, in 5 weeks. So you need to be getting good right about right now, and we've been really, really strong. So hopefully can do it another week. And like I said earlier, there's just no better week to do it, at least from a personal standpoint, than this weekend. So hopefully we can do that.
And last week at Dover, you guys didn't get to practice because of the weather. And so how difficult is it going out on a track like that? I know it's a smaller track, but I heard everybody talking about how it's like a roller coaster. You come out of one of the turns and it's just a 24-foot drop down, and just a completely different style track.
Yeah, Dover is definitely, I would say, the hardest one to. If there's any racetrack to go to with no practice, no qualifying, just first lap of the race is your first lap in the car. I feel like Dover is probably the hardest one, just because of, first off, how physically demanding it is, but even from a setup standpoint, like you were saying, and you literally kind of drop down in the corner. It's like a 20-foot drop just because of the banking and everything else. So it's extremely challenging from just a setup standpoint. You're running 180-something miles an hour around a 1-mile racetrack. It's just really, really extreme from every aspect possible. But yeah, it was good for our race team. Truthfully, I feel like that's where our race team kind of shines, is at these racetracks that are just really technical, and where the sim and all the engineering kind of comes to the forefront. I just feel like Joe Gibbs Racing does a really good job of being ahead of the curve on a lot of that stuff, and that's why I think you saw truthfully all 4 of our cars even in the top 5 or top 6 at one point, just because we are so good at doing those types of things. And whenever you don't have practice and other teams don't have the ability to work on their car, it just makes us kind of be leaps and bounds better a lot of the time.
And talk about the difficulty of driving a NASCAR stock car at Indianapolis versus Indy. Those cars are so much lower. There's so much, they don't rely on that banking as much. The NASCAR cars are much heavier, and the banking is sure nice to have, but you don't have that at Indianapolis. What is the trick to driving that monster track?
Yeah, Indianapolis is a super challenging racetrack. It's 4 corners. They look all 4 the exact same when you look at it from above or on paper, but they all 4 drive so drastically different. Each one kind of takes a certain thing you have to do with your technique, and even from a setup standpoint, it's just a very, very hard racetrack. And then the temperature really plays a role in the racetrack here. I mean, we see it every year in Indy 500 qualifying, just how much a cloud can make a difference and whatnot. So this track is just extremely, extremely hard. I mean, it's a test of man versus machine, and you see that whether it's NASCAR cars or the Indy cars or whatever races here. It's just such a challenging racetrack because of the configuration that it is and the speed you're running and the lack of banking. So it's always a challenge every time you come here, but hopefully our team will be able to handle the challenge better than anybody else.
Well, it has certainly been hot here, and I'm trying to look up the weather to see what it's going to be like. I haven't yet. As long as the most important thing, of course, is keeping the rain away. But heat seems to make the track slicker. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. The hotter it is, it's definitely slicker on the racetrack, and this track, like I was saying, is just extremely sensitive to the heat. So yeah, the hotter it is, the more we'll be slipping and sliding around. It's obviously going to be hot inside the race car. If it's 100 degrees outside, it's roughly 130 something degrees in our car. So it'll be a challenging race this weekend. The rain definitely is kind of hit or miss right now, but it's going to be hot. I mean, it's Indiana in July, so with me at least being from here, I kind of know what to expect. But a lot of guys, I think it can catch them off guard, just the humidity here and how hot it really can feel.
Yeah, it's going to be 90 degrees and sunny, just to give you a little boost for Sunday. So that sounds like it should be good conditions, and really looking forward to that. How has it been when you have to go to a different organization to make the change? How are you able to make that change and do so well from the start, right off the jump, as we talked about earlier, winning the pole at the Daytona 500?
Yeah, I mean, and this comes down to, the cars, truthfully. Like, Kevin Harvick used to tell me all the time, you can't drive a slow race car fast. And, the Joe Gibbs Racing cars are just so fast. It seems like everywhere we go, there's really only been, I would say 2 races all year long. I didn't feel like we had a shot at some point to win the race. And, they just do such a good job of being prepared and knowing what to bring to the racetrack. So it makes my job a lot easier because you don't have to try as hard. You can almost run a little bit under the edge, and you're still going to go faster than a majority of the field. So it just makes everything easier for you inside the race car. So it's been a lot of fun. I know for me to get to drive these cars, it reminds me a lot of kind of the lower series when you're coming up through the Trucks and Xfinity series. Just how it's just easier to put yourself in position to be up front and win these races. Where in the past, Stuart Haas, I felt like I had to be at 110% all the time. And even then, I still was trying to play catch up, where now I can run at 90%. I'm still going to be faster than the large majority of the field. So it's definitely a lot of fun for me just to be in these race cars, and hopefully can be in them for a really long time.
You mentioned Kevin Harvick. You've been in this. How long have you been in the series now? Is this your 4th season?
This is my 5th season in the Cup Series. So yeah, I'm getting more and more experience every year. Finally,
you're like a veteran now, man. With all the kids out there, it seems like there's so many young guys in this sport that do so well. It's kind of amazing when people look back in the older days. It was the guys, older drivers, were stuck around longer, but now it's become a younger man sport like everything else, and it's wild to see those younger guys do so well.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just kids keep getting younger and younger when they're starting and running different divisions. And even, at the Cup Series level, I'm kind of in this weird spot where, even from an age standpoint, I'm kind of in the middle of everybody. But from an experience standpoint, for my age, I'm probably a little behind the curve. Chase Elliott I think he's 29, but he's coming up on 10 years of Cup racing, right? And William Byron's only 25 or 26, and he's been in Cup for 7-8 years. So, yeah, it's definitely became kind of a young man sport. There's even 18, 19-year-olds now in the Cup Series, which is crazy. I didn't get my start until I was 25 or 26. So, yeah, it's definitely changing a lot, but that's where you just have to continue to work and grind and put all the effort in and, definitely continue to get better week in and week out.
Well, you're absolutely making up for lost time. That's for sure with the success you are currently having. You mentioned Kevin Harvick. Who are any other drivers that you talk to for advice, whether it's for a track or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin is somebody that at Stuart Haas Racing I definitely leaned on a lot. Just with him being there, being the veteran guy, and even Eric Almirola, somebody that I used a lot at Stuart Haas, and even now he's at Joe Gibbs Racing as well, and kind of like a driver consultant. So I talked to Eric a lot about just different things and bounce ideas off of him, and even Tony. I'll still talk to Tony every now and again, and just ask him little things. But outside of that, I would say those are kind of the core guys. Now being at a new team, I talked to Christopher Bell quite a bit just because he is a teammate. He grew up racing sprint cars. I grew up racing sprint cars. We kind of have that same background and same driving style. And can relate to a lot of things, but I would say those are kind of the core guys that typically, if I have a question, that's who I'm going to go to.
I saw a picture when I was pulling up some various pictures. You can't see anything that I'm putting up, and I'm going to put this up right now. I have a picture of you throwing out the first pitch at Wrigley Field of a Chicago Cubs baseball game. And the first thing I notice is, because I know that every time they do that, they tell people, don't go up on the mound, stand in front of the mound. And here's Chase up on the rubber. Look like you're uncorking a four-seam fastball, man. You had a Little League baseball career, I'm going to assume.
Yeah, I definitely played a lot of baseball as a kid growing up. My dad was always at the racetrack, and I didn't really start racing until I was 12, 13 years old. So I played a ton of, travel ball and Little League ball as a kid. And yeah, for me, it was pretty dang cool to be able to go to Wrigley Field and, throw out the first pitch. As a kid, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. That was like my thing, right? Every kid, I think, kind of dreams of that. You're out in the yard and, imagining it's Game 7 World Series and you're out there pitching. So for me to be able to go to Wrigley Field and stand on the mound and just even be in a major league uniform and throw out a pitch is pretty cool. I was by far the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life, and I was just glad it was a strike. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to do that. It's a super cool opportunity for sure.
More nervous than when you drive?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the first pitch is honestly a no-win situation because if you do it right, nobody truthfully really sees it other than maybe your friends and your family. But if you do it wrong, it's on SportsCenter within 20 minutes. It's really a no-win situation.
Yeah, I cannot imagine taking this. And you took the mound. Did they tell you not to stand out in front?
They kind of gave me the option. If I was going to do it, I wanted to go to the mound. I wanted to do the real deal.
Absolutely.
So, I'm actually throwing out the first pitch tonight at the Indianapolis Indians game too. So hopefully I can at least back it up. I'm going to try to throw this one a little bit harder. It probably won't be a strike, but I'm at least going to go to the mound again and see what I can do.
That's awesome, man. That is incredible, man. I know you got to get going. You got a lot to take care of this week. Your sister is getting married this week. She perfectly timed that with the Indianapolis or the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis coming up this weekend. So you have got a lot going on.
Yeah, for sure on that. I don't know if I timed it right. I think I got fortunate that my sister was willing to move her wedding date just so I could be here. But yeah, it's going to be a fun week, just being able to spend time with all my family and, obviously celebrate my sister and her getting married. So yeah, looking forward to a fun weekend ahead and hopefully can cap it off with a win at the Brickyard.
Now, do you have a college sports team that you follow? I know you're close to IU. I'm not sure if you're an IU fan or other.
Yeah, as a kid, I always loved Butler. Butler was always my team, even before they were good. Back in the AJ Graves days, even I was always a Butler fan. And truthfully, as I've gotten older, I've kind of fallen off the college sports thing. I mean, I still watch, but I don't have a team I necessarily cheer for. Where in my high school days, I was a diehard Butler fan, watched every single game. And now I'm so busy, I don't get to watch as much. But yeah, really any Indiana team anymore, I just kind of cheer for them.
Ironically, I was in a golf event on Monday, and I played with Barry. I didn't play with him, but he was in the Barry Collier, the former Butler coach and athletics director, was there. So that was very cool to meet him.
Heck yeah.
Well, I know you have a lot going on. What's next on your schedule? When do you get to the track? Because you've got so much happening. Your schedule is going to be locked. I think you guys practice and qualify on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, this week we actually practice on Friday, so I'll be up there Friday and we'll practice, as long as the weather's good, and then rush back to do the wedding, and then back up Saturday morning for qualifying and stay up here through the weekend, and then obviously race on Sunday. So definitely come on out. Should be hopefully a great weekend. And looking forward to seeing everybody.
Absolutely. Get out and support Chase Briscoe from Mitchell, Indiana. Already a winner this season. You're headed to the playoffs. That has to be a huge relief as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely after winning Pocono, I felt about 100 pounds lighter just knowing that we were in the playoffs. It's a super stressful time, just being kind of around that cut line. And the whole reason you race every season is to try to win the championship. And if you don't make the playoffs, you obviously can't do that. So yeah, there's a ton that goes into obviously trying to make those playoffs. And for us to be able to do it finally was certainly a huge relief.
Well, Brody, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you again as well. You've always been incredible, and I look forward to doing this again as your career continues to skyrocket and going as fast as you're going, winning these polls, man.
Heck yeah, man! I appreciate it. Hopefully we're talking next weekend about a Brickyard 400 win.
Well, you know what? If you win, we will be talking, brother. I appreciate you. You enjoy it and have a great one.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Thank you, Chase. I appreciate you.
Yeah, see you, man. Thank you.
You bet. Chase Briscoe joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages.